Picture yourself at the biggest party of the year. Everyone's laughing, networking, making connections that could change their lives. The energy is electric, the conversations are flowing, and success seems to hang in the air like expensive perfume. But there's someone missing from this scene, someone who got the invitation but chose to stay home instead. Now here's the shocking part. That person might actually be the smartest one in the room they're not in. You've probably noticed this pattern before. The most brilliant people you know, they're not the ones dominating every social gathering. They're not constantly posting on social media or desperately seeking the next networking opportunity. In fact, they seem almost indifferent to it all. If you've ever felt this way yourself, if you've ever wondered why social events drain you instead of energize you, then what I'm about to share will completely shift how you see intelligence, relationships, and your own mind. Before we dive deeper, hit that like button if you've ever felt more comfortable alone with your thoughts than in a crowded room. And make sure you're subscribed because we're about to explore insights that most people never encounter. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of history's most revolutionary philosophers, discovered something that challenges everything our society teaches us about social success. His revelation explains why the smartest people often seem antisocial, why genius tends to flourish in solitude, and why your preference for being alone might actually be a sign of superior intelligence. Here's what Schopenhauer realized. Your brain is like a luxury hotel. The more expensive the hotel, the fewer guests it needs to feel complete. Average minds are like budget motels. They need constant traffic, noise, and activity to feel alive. But exceptional minds, they're operating at such a high level that they're already fully occupied with thoughts, ideas, and insights that most people never access. Think about it this way. When was the last time you had a conversation that actually challenged your thinking? When did someone last say something that made you completely reconsider your worldview? For most people, the answer is rarely, if ever. The uncomfortable truth is that most social interaction is intellectual junk food. It might taste good in the moment, but it leaves you empty and craving something more substantial. Schopenhauer saw this clearly. He noticed that people who constantly seek social stimulation do so because their internal world is barren. They need external noise to drown out the deafening silence of their own minds. But here's where it gets really interesting. Comment below if you've experienced this. You're surrounded by people, everyone's talking and laughing, but you feel completely disconnected. Not lonely, just above it somehow. Like you're watching a play where everyone knows their lines except you, and you're starting to realize. This isn't arrogance. This isn't antisocial behavior. This is pattern recognition at its finest. You're seeing through the social matrix that keeps most people trapped in cycles of meaningless interaction. Schopenhauer studied the greatest minds in history and found something remarkable. Newton spent years in complete isolation, developing the laws that govern our universe. Tesla chose to remain single, saying marriage would interfere with his revolutionary work. Emily Dickinson barely left her house, yet created poetry that still moves people centuries later. Were these people missing out on life? Or did they understand something about the nature of fulfillment that most people never discover? Here's the breakthrough insight. Intelligence naturally creates self-sufficiency. The smarter you become, the less you need other people to entertain you, validate you, or complete you. Your mind becomes its own universe, filled with questions worth exploring and ideas worth developing. But society has programmed us to believe the opposite. From childhood, we're told that being social is healthy, that isolation is dangerous, that human connection is the highest form of happiness. We're made to feel guilty for preferring our own company, as if there's something wrong with us for finding peace in solitude. Let me ask you something that might change everything. What if they got it backwards? What if the ability to be alone without feeling lonely isn't a deficiency, but a superpower? Schopenhauer made a crucial distinction that most people miss. There's a massive difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is what happens when you need others but don't have them. Solitude is what happens when you're so internally rich that you choose to be alone, because it's actually more fulfilling than most social interactions. Share this video with someone who gets it, someone who understands that depth matters more than popularity. The philosopher went even deeper. He observed that most conversations serve one primary function. They help people avoid confronting themselves. Think about your last 10 social interactions. How many involved genuine exchange of ideas? How many challenged you to grow or think differently? How many were just elaborate forms of mutual distraction? Most people are terrified of silence because in silence, they have to face their own thoughts. And for many, that landscape is pretty barren. So they fill it with gossip, small talk, social media, anything to avoid the uncomfortable reality that they don't actually enjoy their own company. But intelligent people don't have this problem. Their minds are theaters with multiple shows running simultaneously. They're always engaged, always processing, always discovering new connections between ideas. Solitude isn't empty for them, it's full of possibilities. Here's something that might blow your mind. Schopenhauer believed that most friendships aren't based on genuine connection but on mutual need and convenience. People become friends because they work together, live near each other, or share temporary circumstances. When those circumstances change, the friendship often fades. This explains why so many relationships feel hollow. They're not built on authentic understanding but on social proximity and shared activities. Remove the external factors, and often there's nothing left. Intelligent people recognize this pattern and respond by becoming more selective. They don't collect friends like trading cards. They don't network for the sake of networking. They invest their social energy only in relationships that offer genuine intellectual or emotional depth. This selectivity isn't antisocial, it's smart resource management. Your time and energy are finite. Why spend them on interactions that drain you rather than inspire you? But here's where Schopenhauer's philosophy becomes truly revolutionary. He argued that the highest form of human existence involves transcending the need for social validation entirely. Not because you hate people, but because you've found something better. The ability to create your own meaning, pursue your own interests, and develop your own understanding of reality. Most people are addicted to external approval. They make decisions based on how others will perceive them. They choose careers, relationships, even hobbies based on social expectations rather than genuine interest. This external dependency keeps them trapped in cycles of anxiety and dissatisfaction. Intelligent individuals break free from this cycle. They develop what Schopenhauer called inner independence, the ability to find fulfillment regardless of social circumstances. They don't need applause to know they've accomplished something meaningful. They don't need constant companionship to feel complete. If you're still watching, you're probably recognizing yourself in this description. Tag someone in the comments who would understand this perspective. The most profound realization is this: society has convinced us that social success and personal fulfillment are the same thing, but they're not. In fact, they're often inversely related. The more you chase social approval, the further you drift from authentic self-development. This doesn't mean intelligent people become hermits. It means they engage with society on their own terms. They choose relationships that enhance their growth rather than simply providing comfort. They participate in conversations that stimulate their minds rather than just passing time. Schopenhauer noticed that truly brilliant people often feel like aliens in social settings. Not because they lack social skills, but because they see through the performances that everyone else takes seriously. They recognize that most social rituals are elaborate forms of mutual deception. People pretending to be more interested, more successful, more satisfied than they actually are. When you can see the machinery behind the magic trick, it's hard to enjoy the show. But here's the liberating truth. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to force enthusiasm for conversations that bore you. You don't have to feel guilty for preferring intellectual pursuits over social obligations. Your preference for depth over breadth, quality over quantity, isn't a character flaw. It's a sign of intellectual sophistication. The question isn't whether you should become more social. The question is whether you're brave enough to embrace your natural inclinations towards solitude and depth, even if it means being misunderstood by people who mistake busyness for importance and popularity for success. Schopenhauer's final insight cuts to the heart of human nature. Most people fear being alone because they don't actually like themselves very much. They need constant external stimulation to avoid confronting their own thoughts, dreams, and fears. But if you can learn to enjoy your own company, if you can find fulfillment in your own mind, then you've achieved something that most people never will: true independence. This independence doesn't mean isolation. It means freedom. Freedom to choose relationships that genuinely enrich your life. Freedom to pursue interests that fascinate you rather than impress others. Freedom to think without the constant pressure to conform to social expectations. So the next time someone suggests you need to be more social, more outgoing, more connected, your preference for solitude isn't a problem to be solved. It's a strength to be cultivated. And in a world full of noise, your ability to find meaning in silence might be the most valuable skill you possess. The choice is yours. Will you continue chasing external validation, or will you discover the profound satisfaction that comes from being genuinely comfortable in your own extraordinary mind?